What it do, fam? A fam bam, hey. Yeah, I'm hecka late. But is time really a thing? Or is it something we made up? So we out here. We not on time, but we on galaxy. We on evolution. We on game. We on that eternity. So we on that good. That's what we on. I'm so happy to be with you guys because you guys are my happy place. Okay? And it's Friday. What is that? Carly Jepsen or whatever? Gotta get down on Friday. Friday. Oh shoot, I'm losing followers with my singing voice. I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah, what is going on, y'all? What is going on? I'm a little bit more wired today because I got that liquid juice. Today's brought to you by Rockstar. Just kidding, but Rockstar, if you're out there and you hear me in the stratosphere right now, you better give me some props, some cred. Some cred where cred due. JK. Elemental P. Wow, I think I'm drinking a little too much of that. The can is quite large and it's also halfway empty. It's gonna be lit, fam. It's about to be litty. What's good, Kaden? What's good, Ethan? My peeps. My peoples. What is good? Y'all, I'm so happy you're here. Yeah, I'm also open, what I was thinking we could potentially do sometime too, is, I don't really know how it's done, but I could probably figure it out, where you do, I have like a hair on my lip gloss. I swear, you guys, being a girl sometimes, I'm telling you, there's blessings and curses to both sides of the coin, okay? But what I wanted to say is, where, on TikTok, when you see all the little squares and you got all the people, I'd love to do that with you guys, where we're like in our classroom and we got all of our squares, all our people in the classroom. So if you guys would be interested in that, you don't have to turn on your, screen if you don't want to, and you can just, turn on your vocal when you want to. Or if you have a question, then we can have dialogue, via kind of like a Zoom session, right? So, if y'all would be interested in doing something like that, definitely keep me informed so I can figure out how to do that on the TikTok here. Academic weapon. I'm actually really loving the tag. Not another meeting. Well, you know what? It would be really fun to be able to have you guys be able to be vocal if you want to be vocal at all. For the people that are taking this class seriously, which we can also have fun, of course, while we're being serious here, because life is fun. I'm proud of you, academic weapon. I'm a baller, What is this class about? Sit and ye shall find out. And you know what? A lot of times you just gotta trust the vibrations and the frequencies of the universe that we are coming together for a very specific reason, that I am in front of you, you in front of me, we in front of we. Whoa, shoot. I'm getting crazy. Oh, we in front of we, me in front of her, she, they and thee, a. Y'all, that's that rock star over there. I had to freaking have a rock star. Oh, shoot. Shoot! I was drinking it while I was finishing getting ready, and I just forgot how much I had. Oh shoot, we out here, it's a Friday. Y'all. Yeah, so if you can't tell, I don't drink, and the reason is why, because I don't need to drink alcohol to have fun, okay? I could get crazy on this blood. This blood can get going, okay? So, happy Friday. Thank you all for being here. We got a good amount in the chat fam. We got like 6 peeps up in here. Welcome if you're new, and if you're not new, welcome back. Yeah, so all of my classes are essentially on all things soul ascension, living your best life today and for the rest of your life / into eternity, because that, as we have learned, is much more important than pretty much anything else, is living for eternity and not living in the fleeting moment, right? Oop, moment gone. Oop, moment gone. Oop, fleeting moment. Oop, gone. Okay? So, that being said, let's go ahead and ground in some of this energy that is overflowing with abundance. So you can't change anyone, guys, right? I can't change you, you can't change me. What we can do, though, is we can change ourselves. Everything starts from within. And the thing that happens is people either get on board or they get off board. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because either you are okay with swallowing that pill or you are not. And if you're not, then you're okay with choosing to be miserable. Now, that's not to say to push everyone and everything away. We need to have, as even Charlie Kirk says, we need to have conversation. So, Christian, I have been in habit of now starting to block people that are of lower lust vibrations, which, as my entire class knows, lust vibrations are at the bottom of the frequency. Very dense, very heavy. This class is definitely for you, because you clearly are on route with everyone else, including myself, to not slip into the 3D lower lusty vibrational energies of commenting on my appearance. Okay? So, I suggest you line up and act accordingly, so I'll leave you in here for now, and I appreciate you that you're here. Okay? Because guess what? I'll probably see you in a future lifetime as well. And hopefully you're not going to be learning these lessons, you're going to be ascending, right? Ascending. That's what we're trying to do. We're always learning, we're always growing, we're always changing, we're always ascending. We have new bodies every 7 years. 7 years. 7's a great number. 7's a very spiritual, holy number. Now, today we're going to cover 2 of the commandments, and we're going to do the same style we've been doing, guys, which with each commandment that we're building upon as a foundational piece, we're going to link it to a root chakra. Okay, the 5th commandment, which is what we're focusing on, and the 6th are what we're focusing on today. The 5th is the root chakra, but anyways, we're linking each commandment to its mirroring chakra, and then I'm discussing a little bit, or just some questions, ethical questions for us to kind of toy around with in our minds to kind of get us, framed on the ethics and morality. Because again, when we have ethics, as Aristotle says, right? When we have ethics, we also act from those ethics. We have happiness. Happiness is an act, a daily act. Happiness is a pursuit, as we learned and know in the Declaration of Independence. So, yeah, pursuit of happiness. We all have the right for the pursuit of happiness because it's a choice. Okay? And the cool thing is, when we grew up and our family members or friends or whoever you grew up with that hopefully they took good care of you, right? But so however you grew up, a lot of times authorities in our lives, will tell us, no, we can't do this, we can't do that, we need to have discipline here, discipline that. Well, as we've learned, back then it was probably a little bit hard to chew. You want something now, you want it now. You want an apple juice now, you want it now, right? But as we learn and grow, we see the beauty in discipline, the beauty in saying no, the beauty in having control. In the Bible, when we have Galatians, the fruits of the Spirit, I think it's Galatians, I believe. I have a couple Bibles right here, but just introductory-wise, in the Bible, one of the fruits of the Spirit, what are fruits? Fruits are the sweetest thing on planet Earth that we can delight ourselves in, and that we should, because they are extremely good and healthy for us, for our bodies. Now, one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. Why is that a fruit? Y'all? Why is that a fruit? Because guess what? When you say no, you should say no way more often than you say yes. Because when you say no, and you move from a place of ethics and morals and standards, and you don't slip, and you don't fall into the 3D, lower vibrational energies of being pretentious people, like some of these people in the chat, what happens here is you actually get to enjoy the fruits of the Spirit and all the beautiful abundance that we can ground into the now. It's not bad to have and wear nice clothes. A lot of the Kabbalists say you shouldn't have clothes that have holes in them unless it's on purpose. There's a lot of spiritual energies and stuff. We can do that in another class, and I think I have that in my vessel course, or like longer form on YouTube. But what I'm trying to say here is, guys, it's actually a really beautiful thing to say no to vices, to say no to having a sharp tongue that puts others down. Like, I shouldn't have said pretentious to whoever else in the chat here, but that's, everyone has their faults. So, but when we can do it from a higher place, objectively, and we can separate what are my desires, what am I really looking to call in, versus what is a distraction, what is lower vibrational energy, what is deterring me from bringing in my abundance, which includes the 3D. Abundance includes the 3D. You are supposed to have heaven on earth, but you are not supposed to be attached to it, giving your power away, right? It's not evil to have money. It's not evil to have a nice house. It's not evil to be able to be philanthropic and to grow God's kingdom. It's not evil to do that, right? It's not evil to wear nice things. It's not evil to want to be able to supply your family with everything they need and to take care of your family, or to even start your own family, right? So I don't want you guys to think, because I'm preaching all the time on, staying away from lower vibrational things, but it's to bring you in your actual abundance, an abundance that's not going to wither, okay? An abundance that's going to stay, because it's built on the right foundations spiritually. That is where long-term stability and certainty, happiness, fruits of the Spirit can all start to build. When we have all of our when we're going through our spiritual process here, really applying a lot of the wisdom and starting to build every single day on these things, and build on ourselves in our divine light. I'm not really sure. Let me know, guys, in the chat, any of my, homies in the chat, if I need to kick anyone out, because I'm not really paying attention, or if there's any good questions that I should answer. So we're focusing, guys, on not going too far off the beaten path of the 5th and the 6th commandment within the 10 commandments of the Bible from Deuteronomy and also Exodus. which is in the Torah. Okay. And from there, we're going to build, like I was saying, chakras. We're linking different ethical questions to think about, numerology as well, with the number and the specific meaning. What Dennis Prager, he's more of a rational thinker when it comes to, and he was a Jewish man. He's still alive, I believe. He's just, like, hurt. I think he got in an accident or something, but anyways, so Dennis Prager, what he says about the commandments, because I think it's good to look at the commandments from a lot of different viewpoints. Also, Dolores Cannon, my absolute favorite, which you guys already know. That's like my number one lady, spiritual lady. And then David Ghiyam is, if you guys don't know him already, some of you might. So he's one of my favorite. He's actually what started to get me into Jewish mysticism and the Kabbalah. He's one of my favorite spiritual leaders. I digest every single one of his videos, y'all, especially his long-form content that he puts on his YouTube. He has it on all the other platforms too. I know he has it on like Apple podcasts. And he has a lot of free courses too. So anyone who is looking to get a little bit more spiritual foundation from the Kabbalah, which a lot of the stuff I've been saying are things I've also learned from David. He's fantastic. If you guys don't know him, I'm going to put some of these names probably in my story, or just start sharing some of their stuff. I shared today on my YouTube the most recent. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. David Ghiyam, his most recent YouTube video, I reposted it on my YouTube. Guys, a lot of the people that I love to get my information on when it comes to Audible stuff outside of my books, which I have many books. Is it a problem? I don't know. It's an addiction. Is that a problem? I'm just kidding. We all know addiction is probably not a good thing, but yeah, books are probably my addiction, which is good, I guess. No, it's for sure good. Anywho, back on track here. So a lot of times my favorite people that I listen to on many different fronts, I usually try, if I'm loving whatever they're preaching and teaching about, I usually try to repost that on my YouTube posts, because you can repost videos there. So yeah, I'd say periodically you can go check that out, see if there's any good videos that would interest you, that are teachers that I like to learn from as well. Because I think since you guys like to learn from me, I want to share kind of where I get my information from too. And then book-wise, of course, I have my storefront, which I'll keep adding to that, but I don't want to just like convolute it with like a full library. I just feel like that's kind of ridiculous, so I don't know. So you guys let me know if you ever have any ideas there. But yeah, David Ghiyam, as far as the Kabbalah and his understanding, he's absolutely fantastic. He breaks it down in such an easy way for us to digest, giving us real world like scenarios as well, that usually you can apply it to your life immediately that day. It's fantastic. He at least puts one video per week out, about 30 minutes long, on his YouTube and all his platforms, so highly recommend. If you like listening to my stuff, you're for sure gonna love listening to his as well. And by the way, guys, I have never taken one of his courses, but he offers courses. Guess what price he offers his courses at? Pay what you want. Which I love. And here's the thing. So if you can't afford much, you can afford $1, you pay $1. But guess what? At a later date, when you can afford more, you could probably buy his next course for whatever you can afford to buy his course at, right? So he's basically making it so anyone can take the course at any time. And then if you feel convicted to pay more, you can always buy a next course from him, because he has a couple that are, right now, that I know of, that he has a couple hour courses that are like pay what you want, which I think is fantastic, and I'll probably start to model what he does from his teachings. I want to try to model that too, so I might do something like that too eventually. But right now, I mean, yeah, we're just getting started here, guys. This is only the beginning. Yeah, and again, we're going to link all of our commandments to Aristotle, our boy Toddle, Toddleberry, and then science as well, because I really want to make sure that we're touching base on kind of where we find things within nature, helping anchor down the truths of the spiritual wisdom that is upon us through, what we find in science. Because there's so many correlations and similarities, it's ridiculous. Ridiculously cool. Thank you guys for being in the chat. I don't even know, I can't really see I can see my screen just fine, but the far screen I can't really see very well, so if I missed a good question, I do apologize. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Oh my gosh, 5k likes? That's lit. That's litmus. Litty. That's so nice. That's so nice. I appreciate you guys. I'm a fan bam. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started with this little 5th commandment right here on a Friday. Y'all are showing up for yourselves, and I love that. Showing up for yourselves. Who else do you know learning a 5th commandment on a freaking Friday? Hey, it's giving eternity. It's giving abundance. It's giving longevity. It's giving body. It's giving freaking a superhero in society. Okay. Yeah, so the funny thing is, when I was trying to get ready and I had to basically put 8:30 instead of 8, my dad calls me. My pops gives me a little ringle-jingle on a Friday night here. I wouldn't have answered, but I answered. I would have called him next day, But I was feeling convicted because the 5th commandment, which we're not discovering, but we're discussing this evening, is honor your parents. I was like, well, shoot, I can't just be like, so I picked up, I was like, hey, Pops, can I call you tomorrow? Anyways, I just thought that was funny. I was like, dang, I can't, I'm feeling convicted. I need to honor him right now. Yeah, so guys, should we get rid of Christian? Let me know, because or Kristen, let's be serious. Okay? Ethan is someone who shows up every single day, and he would be sitting in the front turning his homework in on time, and he would be getting all A's. And right now you're giving F-. So why don't we just sit down and relax? Thank you. Okay, let's relax. Anywho, for the rest of the people, so honor your father and mother. Honor your father and mother. This is a thickie with 2 C's. Thick. Okay, 1 to unpack. So what I do want to say is, as we know with the Bible, which I'm going to probably be doing a course on this too, because as you guys have seen, I always get spams in the chat of, oh, that's not in the Bible, or oh, Jesus that, or oh, Jesus didn't say this, or oh, we're getting all kinds of attacks from lower dimensional realms who don't read their Bible every day and don't study history, right? But yet they want to come to the front and they want to pose this and that. So I think it's actually, which I do love, because, these are things that we can build upon, and I can also teach upon when we have a bunch of chatter from the bottom rung. Brother, why don't you dismiss yourself before I block you, brother? Mr. Christon. I will literally block you, brother. Move on. Okay, I'm gonna block him because Ethan takes, actual trump over some lower energies. So bye, buddy. I'll see you another time in another life, because it ain't gonna be this one. Thank you for being obnoxious. Take care. Alright, thank you. Thanks, guys. I know. He's blocked. So, that's okay. I can always unblock people at a later date, but they need to relax and take some time to sit in timeout. So, thank you guys. Yeah, just let me know if there's any other people that I should block. I'm happy to do so. I can always unblock them at a later date when hopefully they've grown slightly enough to have some respect for themselves first. Because as we've all learned to know, what we do on the exterior here is a reflection of our interior. And when we're being disrespectful, we don't respect ourselves, right? So that's what we're seeing in real time, which is fine, but there's a place and a time sometimes, and this ain't it. Because we on that soul ascension, and we are quantum leaping. You see? Not everyone wants to quantum leap, but for those who do, share with your friends and fam too, or whoever you care about, or whoever you think would be interested in this stuff. Get those people in here so we can drown out this lower vibrational energies, y'all know? Anywho, yeah, so I was basically letting you guys know I'm probably going to do a longer study after this Commandment study, which will probably finish this middle of next week. But I want to do something on where there's gaps within the Bible teachings, so that way you guys know what those gaps are, and a lot of the religious dogma, how that came about. Because what I do know is Rome, they're the ones who actually were teaching and preaching in the Catholic Church that you should worship Jesus, which is inaccurate. And that was only established when Rome was establishing the Vatican and stuff, which, by the way, to this day, today, right meow, okay, right meow, y'all, the Vatican is the leading authority throughout the entire world. Control and power, authority. Not to say that everything that they do is bad, right? I'm not trying to put dirt on anything. There's a lot of great things that are done within churches as well. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of control and power that is not balanced. Okay? And yeah. And so then people are confused, because when you say worship Jesus, who was a man, so you're saying that you are below men, other men, or certain figures, or other people are above you. You see how that creates an imbalance? Even if you take Jesus out of the picture and you just say, you preach and teach that it's literally just a man. He was on a higher consciousness level, like more ascended soul-wise, right? And that's why he was sent here, and we needed his teachings. But anyways, so what I want to do is I want to give you guys more clarity on that, on what's missing, what's true, kind of, shift through a lot of the history and give you guys some clarity on, okay, like, what is a lie, or what is missing, or what needs to be built upon, or where are the gaps, right? Because, believe me, there are gaps. There are actual gaps. So yeah, I'm probably going to do something like that and try to make it fun too, because I think it's really important for us to know. And yeah, I think that'll be really a good thing to do. And then anything you guys want to do too. But honor your father and mother is the 5th commandment here. Thank you guys for being in the chat. We have like about 9 to 10 people. It's awesome. Honor your father and mother. So why is it honor? Why is it not like love? Why is it not love your father and mother? Why is it honor? It's a really interesting thing, because when we think about honor versus love, honor does create authority. Now, It doesn't say in the Bible that we should love our parents. It says that we should love our neighbor. So what does that imply? It probably implies that we're not always going to necessarily love our parents. We should have love in our heart, and we get to a point where we can have love of enemy or lower vibrational, whatever, people that have done us wrong, right? Where we forgive them, we release the trauma. But you and me and we, he and they and thee and she and everybody, we all know, not everyone's parents are nice. And some of them some people might have gone through some real harsh, traumatic experiences with their own family members. Okay? So, brings me back to the commandment here. Honor your father and mother. Now, there are many reasons that we're going to go through as to why this has great spiritual truth into raising our vibration, raising our frequency, our collective consciousness, because when we do it from within, it ripples out to the entire unity of everyone else. And this is a foundational truth, and there's a lot of reason why we need to honor our parents. Okay? So, the fifth commandment is linked to our root chakra, and as we would probably understand and know, because again, remember, our root chakra is our safety, our home life, food, water, shelter, essentials, right? So of course it would be linked to the foundation of also family and heritage. Now, we'll get a little bit into, and remember, our lower chakras are what are foundational pieces for balancing the ability for our higher chakras to be able to reach new heights, right? A couple of the ethical questions here. So this is an interesting one. I don't know who has, family, like children themselves, or who doesn't have children, but everyone does have biological parents and people that have raised them. So should parents always tell their children the truth, or is shielding them better about maybe death, divorce, Santa, what have you? Another ethical question to think about is, if you found out you were being adopted at birth and your biological if you found out you were adopted at birth and your biological parent needed a kidney to survive, would you feel morally obligated to help them even if they're a stranger to you? That's kind of a wild one to think about. Thanks, guys, for being here on a Friday night. That's so baller. Y'all are so baller. So baller. I love it. If another ethics question for our fifth commandment of honor our parents. If loyalty to your tribe, family, nation, team is more important than fairness to outsiders, is that moral? So, just some things to kind of toy with. We'll get started with the numerology of the number 5. Should I, put you guys a little closer? Put you guys a little closer to me here. So, the number 5 in numerology embodies transformation and is a bridge between spirit and matter. When you think of the number 5, which we've discussed before, it's like the pentagram. Now, geometrically, since it's the pentagram, the 5-pointed star, it symbolizes man when you have the top of the star, the head. So what's really important to understand here, guys, symbolically, because we are a universe of symbols, is that when the pentagram is pointed upwards, that symbolizes that the head of man is, pointing towards the divine. Now, in the heavens, right, and then it has its arms out, because it's a 5-pointed star, has its arms lifted towards the heavens, standing as a microcosm of the universe. In this form, it's mastery over the physical plane, because you're stretching out to the heavens or the divine or the higher spiritual realms, right? Now, when inverted, as one might think and guess and know, it signifies being entrapped into the 3D lower dimensional vibrations, what have you. Overindulgence, chaos, selfishness, destruction, impulses, right? Fleeting 3D things. Instead of acting from a place of eternity, you're acting from a place of a blimp in a moment, right? Now, some people say it's evil or whatever to have the star upside down as well, because it's just a representation symbolically of, being pointed towards the divine or being pointed towards the 3D and those fleeting things. Evil, not necessarily evil. That's not really even a thing on the spiritual side. But yeah, so it is technically just energetically, symbolically better to have your star pointed upwards than pointed down, for symbolizing being more connected and anchored in the 5D and above, not 3D. Now, 5 also reflects our human body, not only like the star, but we already know that we've got 5 fingers on each hand. We got 10 toes, standing down on business, okay? And we have our 5 senses as well, right? Now, these are all tools for us to experience, enjoy reality and life as we know it. The number is of temptation and testing, but also of reproduction, creativity, generation of new life. Interesting how numerology and the Bible are correlating here, right? Where we have creativity, man, we have numerology suggesting generation of new life within the number 5, while we also have the 5th commandment being honor your parents. Now, it shows the duality for elevation but also downfall, right? Elevation, you got your 5-star pointed up. Downfall, you got your 5-star pointed down. Spiritually, it connects to remind us to respect the generative source from which we came from. By honoring our parents, we honor the line of creation that actually brought us into being and elevate this principle, which is sacred continuity, okay? Rooting us in our own gratitude while also lifting us higher up into our purpose. So, pretty cool that numerology shows us, we are much more connected to our family roots and how important it is for us to honor those things, even if we have been potentially harmed by our own family members. Because obviously no one's necessarily perfect, but we'll get more into depth on that as well, because the thing is, guys, we actually pick our parents out. So I'm going to get a little bit into that. Spiritually, energetically, we do pick our parents out. And we agree. So that's a hard pill to swallow, because you're like, wow, if you have a bad relationship with your parents or one of your parents, right, or maybe both your parents are gone, right, that's still a hard pill to swallow. Or if you were raised by someone else. But we'll get into that a little bit further in the class. Let's go ahead and focus on a little bit about what Dennis Prager teaches about the fifth commandment. So essentially, the idea of honoring your parents creates a very profound promise and foundation for us to build upon, giving us longer life and survival, both individually and as a society. Now, to honor someone means to treat them with distinct regard. You treat them differently. When you honor someone, you treat them differently than when you don't honor someone, right? They have more of a special treatment, a more elevated treatment. You act differently towards them because of the authority that's involved and the place that they hold in your life. We understand, and Dennis Prager states, that a lot of parents generally want to be loved over being honored, but again, the Bible has not said love your parents, it says love your neighbor. The Bible states honor your parents. Love is reserved for technically everyone, but spiritually, a lot of the things that are still rooted in the Bible but aren't taught here mirror other spiritual energetic truths, which is we pick our parents, and we don't pick them out just because we're going to be loving them. We usually pick them out because we're going to learn a harsh lesson. Don't you love that? We usually pick our parents because, generally speaking, we pick them for the lessons that we're trying to learn. And it's pretty cool that we can honor them without feeling shame if we don't necessarily feel that great about them and who they are, or maybe we don't even necessarily want to honor them, but it's really important we do, and we're going to go through that more here. If anyone has any other questions or anything, just put those in the chat as well. So, love is commanded towards one's neighbor in the Bible. Exactly. Love is commanded towards loving one's neighbor in the Bible, and honor is reserved for your parents. So the Bible does suggest that sometimes it might be quite hard for us to love our parents, which is quite interesting that it kind of suggests that through honoring our parents and not love your parents. Though we should have love in our hearts for everyone. This underscores the unique parent-child relationship and establishes the principle of moral authority as well above us, teaching us that we are accountable not only to our parents, but ultimately to the divine and to God. So, if you're to break down this principle a little farther, if you think about fatherless homes, okay, has deep-rooted societal consequences, as we've been seeing. Thank you so much. Oh, Karen! Oh, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. Oh my gosh, what an honor. We're talking about honoring our parents. So, I try not to get too personal, but essentially Karen is like a second mother to me, guys. So she would technically be in my honor my parents. She would be on the list here for me, okay? So yeah, be nice to her. She's fantastic. She took care of me so many times in my life. Yes, I love her. Thank you for being here and popping in. Yeah, so we're going over the fifth and the sixth commandment, and essentially going through a little bit about, going through a lot of each, between each commandment. Now, when we do have a fatherless home, y'all, so we see all the deep societal consequences that this can create. And this was actually one of the things that Charlie Kirk was really adamant about. Great to see you here. He was really, really adamant about this because he knew the spiritual truths behind having a good family unit. That is the foundation, or the root chakra energy, right? To be able to grow, a habitat is where you can grow and bloom. So when you have a very healthy family dynamic, which I know not everyone does, and a lot of times we do have to learn how to anchor that into our realities or create that for ourselves through other means, or by, finding the divine union, this and that. But essentially, guys, it's really important to have that structure, that support system, to be able to take root, to grow. I mean, with habitats and flourishing, when you put a shark in a small tank, it's only going to be able to grow until a very comfortable amount within that tank. You give the shark a bigger tank, it can actually grow larger, right? So you see how important it is for us to have good foundational spaces, homes to grow in, to learn in, to live in, to have good foundational family roots, generational roots. Now, I know that this isn't the case for everyone, so, but you can anchor this still into your reality. And whatever lessons your soul is trying to learn with picking out your parents before you came here, those lessons will help you in anchoring that foundational family root chakra reality into your life, okay? So, yeah, essentially, fatherless homes have, broken families, unstable relationships, lots of cycles of dysfunction, and a lot of times there has to be the curse breaker child of the family, or the black sheep of the family, to switch things around and to try to break those generational cycles of mishaps within relationships, right? So our friend who's passed away, all of our friends are passed away, Sigmund Freud, he was actually an atheist. So he recognized, we all know him, right? Psychiatry dude, fella. He was the one that recognized that one's attitude towards their father actually often shapes their attitude towards God. And that makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? In this way, the fifth commandment actually becomes both a safeguard against totalitarianism, essentially. If we have a totalitarianism, guys, is where you break apart the child and the parent relationship, and you bring the child to the state. So it goes from a child-parent relationship to a child-state relationship. So government control of family. Okay, so we don't want that. It's funny how thousands of years ago, this anchors in avoiding the totalitarianism, if I could pronounce that right, but y'all understand what I'm saying. Okay, great foundational truth, giving power and keeping power within the family, growing over generations and legacy. Yeah, totalitarianism. Essentially, it's just giving your child to the state instead of you taking care of your own child, or, but yeah, so it also, the fifth commandment reminds us the highest authority is not the state, but God. And a generational teaching, by honoring our parents, we model for our children as well, that they should honor us, ensuring continuity. So, for anyone who's like, man, there are people who don't necessarily love their parents, but they should honor their parents. If you are wanting to have children, or you do have children, the best way to teach your children how to honor you, how to respect you, how to treat you with authority, is through treating your parents with honor, When they see you do that, they will follow suit. Guaranteed. So, that's another great, fantastic reason to create stability in your chain of lineage, right? By honoring your parents, your children will honor you, okay? And if you don't have parents, it's honoring your relationship with God as well. Because when they see that, a higher moral authority that you're honoring, they're going to follow suit too. Okay? Yep. And then we'll go into a little bit of Dolores Cannon's teachings. If anyone has questions, feel free to pop those into the chat. I appreciate you guys. So, in her book, which we all know by now, Between Death and Life, a favorite. It's just necessary. She essentially states, our souls are active participants in planning each incarnation. Okay? So before birth, we meet with our higher guides and higher council on our in-between realm, which is the spiritual realm. Okay? The 99% that we can't see with our own physical eyes here. And why can't we feel it? Well, because it's on a higher frequency, y'all. It's in a different dimension. Now, our souls are active participants in planning our key relationships and circumstances that best serve our growth. So when you think about the times, if you do, I wish no one had issues with their family, no one had, but that there are for sure people that do, right? So it can give you some peace, and you can reflect, okay, so if I chose my parents, and I can sit back and reflect on everything that has happened from birth till now, and I chose these parents, what was the overarching theme of whatever you were learning, if you had to extract a theme, right? For me, it would be self-love. Okay? And I can probably go more into depth about that. I don't mind telling you guys, I don't mind getting slightly personal here and there. So, again, Karen is not my biological mom. We'll just call my biological mom. So, my biological mother is leaning more towards narcissistic tendencies. This is really funny, and this stays in this classroom, but she used to beat up people in high school. She's shorter than me, by the way. She's like, I'm 5'5" for reference. She's like, the top of her head is right here. I'm like, dang, she was beating up people in high school. I think that's so funny. I mean, it's obviously not okay, but it's just, thinking about that is hilarious. I digress. Essentially, why would I choose a narcissistic parent who does not love themselves, and in turn, because they do not have inner love, they reflect that on their outer, and I always felt like she did not love me, when really, I didn't know this at the time, it was a reflection of her internal of not loving herself. Why would I pick my biological mother to be like that? Why? Cat's out the bag. Karen is with my father, y'all. So yeah, nonetheless, I love my parents. And the reason we pick our parents is because of larger lessons that our soul needs to learn. I picked out my parents to learn self-love. Okay? Which, yeah. So, I mean, we can kind of go further into that and kind of explore that. But you see what I'm saying? I wanted to give you an example, a real-world example of, okay, what was the overarching theme? My parents split when I was around 1 to 2. Okay? I grew up with my mom, and she had another child, and then my dad has had a few other children. So I have a very more fragmented, if you will, family. However, this isn't a woe is me. This isn't a, this isn't a sob story. This isn't a feel bad for me. This ain't none of that. Because guess what? We are very particular on planning these things out to learn very specific lessons to quantum jump on our soul ascension. And we need to be very grateful for all the experiences we have had with our parents, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because as we already know, and we have learned many times in this classroom here, energetically, digitally, that the darkness and the shadows, the traumas in our life have beautiful, beautiful lessons, blessings, beautiful meaning, beautiful ways to quantum leap, right? We understand and we know that, and that is why our souls are like, for sure, put me in, coach, give me those two, those are the ones I want. I want those two because it's going to help me quantum leap, help me lead by example, right? Help me grow into the human that I'm meant to grow into. So if I choose, because there is free will as well. So we have to be very intentional about choosing, right, to learn from these lessons. We have to be intentional about turning our lessons into blessings based on the person we become, based on how we can show up differently, based on how we can lead, okay? That's right. That's right. So, yeah, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of that. Coming from a broken family, which again is no sad sob story. Exactly. And that's to be said too, guys. There's beauty in both. We choose the struggle because we want to grow, and then we realize we can rise above the struggle. So beauty and glory and all that does not always need to be attached to pain and struggle, which is another lesson in itself, right? Because that is something I kind of fall into, where to have beauty, pain, or beauty, love, all the good abundance, you have to have suffering first, which that's not necessarily true, right? These are things that we impose on ourselves by our own belief systems or deep psyche-rooted things, or incoherence cognitively with our hearts, right? So keep that in mind too, and I would love to maybe talk more about that too, because that's a really good healing point is, we can turn our struggles and our pain into beauty and glory. However, we do not have to say beauty and glory come from pain and struggle every single time. You hear me? Because you are a quantum spiritual being, and you do not need to suffer to have beautiful things in life. Welcome, thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all. Y'all are so awesome. It's freaking 9, almost 10, and you're all like learning about your soul ascension and growing as a human. It's freaking awesome. As a freaking eternal being with divine light, let's go, let's grow. What is good? What is Gucci? You guys are freaking awesome. 7K likes? That's gotta be a world record. What? Ethan Cohen is strong. Oh man. You're so great. Thank you so much. He's a pillar of the community, y'all, so y'all better be introducing yourself. Now, let's see here. Yeah, so essentially back to what Dolores Cannon says on the spiritual realm of choosing our parents, which is a very beautiful thing, is Christ consciousness all day. Let's go. My gum is getting real annoying here. I'm sorry if you guys are annoyed with that. You can always let me know. I'm just a one-man show, so I don't know how the audible is on your end. Now, yeah. So our parents are not actually random. Which is like, dang, some of y'all might know this, some of y'all this might be a little bit new, but stay with me here. That's why the Bible states, honor your parents, not love your parents, because it's probably given that you're picking your parents out for high transformational purposes, for high transformational lessons to learn. It's more than likely that's what you're doing, unless you're a more advanced soul. I don't know. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that. That's only anchored in like partial truth, but a lot of times if you're probably an advanced soul, you might pick out hard parents. Because the thing is about us, you guys, about being a human, about being a soul, about being eternal and this and that, is we want the challenge. Because it's the hero's journey. How boring is it if you were to go to the movie theater and you watched the guy had everything he wanted and he had a great day and he had a great life? The end. Heck no. We like and we live for a lot of contrast and emotion, and again, not all beauty and glory is tied to pain and suffering. However, a lot of beauty and glory will come from pain and suffering only if we are intentional about rising above pain and suffering. You hear me? So, yeah. A lot of times our parents that we choose will mirror unresolved karmic patterns that we've had in our previous lifetimes, and they provide the exact lessons, y'all, exact lessons, right? I'm like, think about that, contemplate that this weekend. What have I learned from my biological parents whom I chose? What is the overarching theme or themes? It's probably not limited to just one. It's probably limited it's probably, multiple things that you have actually learned from the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you really sat and thought about it, that you can be extremely grateful for, because it has shaped who you are to this day as a human and as a soul, eternal soul. Essentially, they give us the opportunity for transformation. Now, painful family bonds are part of the larger design, offering energetically, if you will, a classroom in which we confront our own imbalances. And we can also fulfill karmic contracts and strengthen virtues. Self-love, it's a good virtue to have, or a fruit of the spirit. Now, in this view, our earthly lineage here is not just a matter of chance, is not a matter of chance, but is a matter of divine, coordinated curriculum. Your soul, you had better believe, on the other side before you came here, discuss this with higher consciousness spiritual beings, your guides, and other people within the council, because there's hierarchy on that end as well. Not from a place of malicious hierarchy, it's from a place of divine hierarchy. But you had coordinated with them and agreed that your two parents are perfect for the roles of whatever soul corrections you were trying to do. And its potential, when I talk about karmic contracts, because we know they're not necessarily paper, where you're paper and pen, it's an energetic agreement within the tapestry of life. Because, again, everything is recorded, past, present, and future, all converging into one. These things are recorded. So we can look back and see, oh, I've had past lifetimes with these souls, and we did these things karmically, we messed up here, they might have messed up there, let's switch the roles. There's all these there's like an endless amount of possibilities. A lot of times we do come back with a lot of the same souls and energetic souls. That's why there's some people in your life to this day where like there's something about that person where immediately when we met, we just hit it off. These are souls that you recognize from past lifetimes, right? There's probably people in your life where you're like, I feel like they're like a part of my soul, like maybe a best friend or this or that. Anyways, I digress. This is about our family, like our parents, but yeah, so these are all divinely coordinated, and we come back to be able to balance out energetics, karma scales, and other things, and grow and develop and transform our own personal souls. So this is again why we should actually honor our parents, because they have also agreed to having us come to learn these transformational lessons, okay? So our boy David Ghiyam with the Kabbalah, highly recommend anyone who has not checked out his stuff to check out his stuff. Posted one of his videos on YouTube today, on my YouTube under my posts, my repost. But when it comes to the Kabbalah and what the Kabbalists say, the old sages and rabbis, about this commandment of honoring our father and mother, which, as we know, Jewish and Judaism, all of that good stuff, is mainly Old Testament, and Moses. The Torah is the five first books of the Bible, which was written by Moses, and that's what they study very, very heavily. So they essentially say that it's rooted in Gevura, which is strength and discipline, yet it also flows from the higher Sephirot of Kokma, which is wisdom, and Binah, which is understanding, and those two combined. The primordial parents in the tree of life. Now, essentially, to honor your parents is to recognize them as channels through which the divine energy flows into the world, the vessels of life that gave us life. When we do dishonor or resent or rebel without spiritual correction, we can actually cut ourselves off from that divine channel. So it's funny because in the Bible, it also states under honor your parents and honor your mother and father, it also states that when you do that, you'll get kind of like a reward. What's your reward? It states in the Bible it's going to be longevity and long life, something like that. It's like long life. I wonder why. Well, it's because you're also honoring the divine when you're honoring your parents as well. And you're also honoring your spiritual agreements on the other side that you agreed to when you picked these parents out and you said, I want those two. I want those two because I need to learn X, Y, and Z. And they're the best people for me to learn that from. Okay? Which is pretty cool. So, yeah, when you do not honor your parents, the Kabbalists state that will cut off your channel from the divine, potentially cut your channel off, and create an evil root and a blockage that breeds more chaos and imbalance in your life. David Ghiyam, he emphasizes the commandment is not just about family dynamics, but it's about your soul correction, your tikkun, which for people who've been in this class, I've said tikkun, soul correction. Anytime I say soul correction, I usually always say tikkun. It's from the Kabbalah and the Jewish mysticism. And deeply rooted within Dolores Cannon's teachings, right? About our soul corrections is essentially our soul lessons, right? What do we want to transform? What do we want to transform energetically to ascend in the quantum cosmos and like collective consciousness? Now, when you pick your parents, as we know, there's some unique repair work that is done, especially when you honor them, even if they are imperfect, and they most likely are, because you wanted to transform your soul by coming here, right? Now, when we're truly honoring our parents, the divine forces that shape us and give us the exact circumstances we need for growth, when we have discipline and we're not blind, obedience, but we're the inner strength to transform, we can transform judgment, we can transform resentment, we can transform rebellion. I mean, we've all had a little bit of rebellion probably in our teenage years, unless you're like Patrick from SpongeBob living under a rock. Anywho. Yeah, so essentially, we can turn those things into respect, gratitude, and alignment with divine light. Now, in this way, honoring our parents becomes a spiritual technology for reconnecting us to Source and ensuring the flowing of blessings continues to come through us and into our next generations to come. Okay? Y'all, we're going so strong on a Friday night, 10 o'clock, 10 peeps in the chat. Snap. Look at us. Soul Ascension, let's go. Honor your father and mother. Ayy. Ayy. Yes. Yes, it's good to have. You want discipline and respect towards your parents. So we'll go into a little bit about our boy Aristotle, and what he says about the ethical side of this commandment, which he didn't speak on these commandments, but we have the information on ethics where we can kind of mirror and match what he would say. So, his view on virtue and the role of the family is to cultivate moral character. Even if your parents are not moral in their own character, how can you cultivate that? By being like, oh, I don't want to be like them. I want to have morals and character. If that's the type of dynamic you grew up in, right? Now, our boy Toddle said that virtue is developed through habits. Just like he was stating that happiness is also developed through habits. Being consciously aware and intention on being moral. Choosing morality. And then happiness is supplied in that equation. Essentially, the household is the first and most important training ground for forming one's sense of justice, one's sense of respect, and one's sense of responsibility. In our boy Toddle's framework here, parents embody a primary source of authority, and they should have moral guidance, right? And if their morals are bad, then we should want to be the opposite of them, but we can still honor them. Now, this authority and moral guidance from our parents, hoping that they are, morally in alignment, shapes the conditions for a child's flourishing. And when one honors parents, gratitude and respect toward those who give you life and nurture is not only a personal virtue, but a foundational piece to a well-ordered society, which also mirrors what Dennis Prager was saying, that this is a foundational piece to a well-ordered society, which also mirrors a lot of Charlie Kirk and his beliefs on protecting and reestablishing the family units within America, because that is what first helped build out our great government and country. Now, the fifth commandment teaches us reverence for generational authority, and also that in turn reflects divine order. Our boy Toddle emphasized that respecting one's parent and their authority establishes the discipline and balance that is necessary for us to live virtuous and extremely meaningful lives. Welcome, permaculture. I'm not sure what you're saying about white people. If you can please expand. So, thank you for being here, though. Welcome back. It's good to have you. So, you guys, then back with Aristotle's doctrine on the four causes, which I think I might have covered that a little bit yesterday. That's right. We out, chia. rereading the literature of life. That's what we do out here. The 4 causes for our boy Toddle is material, formal, efficient, and final. Y'all, when it comes to understanding things in life, there's always a cause, right? A cause-effect. We should probably even do a whole separate class on this because it's super important and relevant every single day of our lives, to include in our future lives and our previous lives, like literally every single day. That everything has a cause. There's a root cause for whatever said thing happens, or there's always a cause. Anytime you're trying to be a problem solver and actually fix or solve any problem in life, doesn't matter under what umbrella or what discipline, you need to get to the root cause. Okay? And yeah, Mr. Ray 1738, calm down, bud. Now, we're talking about the commandments here, essentially, y'all. So keep that in mind. We're talking about the commandments, the 10 commandments from God. And God knows exactly what is being energetically stamped, time-stamped, and even if you don't time-stamp it, he knows what's being thought, too. And that's not to freak you out, but that's to say everything is recorded and everything will get into its balance. So if you're out of balance energetically, you better believe there's going to be something in your life that's going to get you back on track, whether it be now or later. So why don't you choose to be right now back in balance? Anyways, for the people that are serious and here to learn and not lower vibrational, the 4 causes within Toddle, right? There's always a cause, a root cause to something, and when we extract that through contemplation and questioning, asking the right questions, well, what's really the cause of something, then we can actually illuminate a solution. But we can kind of get into more depth with it. I just feel like that's such a good thing to get into depth about, because it essentially helps everyone become less vulnerable to being manipulated by bad energies. And here's the thing, guys. As we get smarter and smarter with what's good and everything in life, the dark energies get smarter too. The dark energies, this is not to scare anyone. This is to say that we should be quick on our toes with discernment. Swift on our toes with discernment. To not be manipulated, to not be controlled, to not give our divine light away. And one way to do that is, of course, with understanding, are we being manipulated with information or material? To include in this classroom as well. Anytime you learn something, like I've always stated, we always take what we learn to then go and think for ourselves. We take what we learn to then go and think and contemplate for ourselves between the channel of the divine and our own divine light and divinity within the divine. Wow, how many times am I going to say that? That was so repetitive, but I kind of liked it. Y'all know what I'm saying, though. Because that keeps you in alignment without being manipulated from the darkness. It keeps me in alignment, too, for saying things from a space of truth with what I do know and understand currently, and can give you guys a foundation to grow upon, which is what the church should have done from day one, is they should have grown upon these foundational truths, not manipulated, not controlled, not convoluted or, messed with some of the truth. Because we know when you even change one word, look at honor your parents versus love your parents. If heaven and hell were actually true, and it said love your parents instead of honor your parents, I'd be going to hell. I would be like, 1 ticket to hell, please. Not that I don't love my dad and my mom, but there's a time in my life where if I would have died at a specific time in my life in my younger years, I would have gone to hell. If hell and heaven were actually a thing. Okay? You see how one word in the Bible, when it's misconstrued or when it's changed or translated differently, how it can have a completely different meaning Because what? Words bring things into existence. And God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be night. So, yeah, you guys, essentially all I'm trying, you guys know what I'm trying to say because you're feeling the energy that I'm putting out. We out ya. On a Friday. Yeah, that soul ascension. Let's go. Let's grow. Yeah, so back to total for causes, material, formal, efficient, final. I'm going to do our own class on this, but I want to get you guys to kind of see this from the mindset of the fifth commandment of honoring our parents. So parents serve as an efficient cause of our existence. Fair. Now, the immediate agents through whom life is brought into the world. At the same time, they're also embodying part of the material cause, since we do inherit our very being and substance through them. So honoring them, therefore, actually acknowledges the roots of our existence in a way that also aligns with understanding of causality. Because honoring your parents is not only for the gratitude of the efficient cause, but also for the recognition of the final cause, the ultimate purpose of life, which is bound up with God and also with moral order and our divinity. So, Aristotle essentially taught the telos, which is an end for purpose, or end or purpose, honoring our parents to remind us that our beginnings are not random, but a point toward a divine purpose. One that demands respect for the channels through which life enters the world. And in this sense, the commandment and our boy Toddle, they're converging into one, stating both affirm that human flourishing actually requires recognizing origins, respecting order, and also directing life through higher ends. Okay? So we love that. From a scientific space, yeah, this is a Litmus Friday. We out here. We out here. Yeah, you know what I think would be really fun is freaking, hopefully one day I get like just some ridiculous baller, like crazy fluctuation of finances, and we can just like all go post up somewhere, have like some lit type of, I don't know. I'm gonna have to literally get something together. Like, so we can meet face to face. Like, that's an idea. Like, I'm like, and the reason why I say ultra abundance is because I want, like, y'all to be like, oh yeah, I want to be like, yeah, I got your ticket, no worries. Yeah, we flying out to freaking, I don't know where. We flying. So we can all meet together and just, like, kick it, and then also learn and stuff more, too. That'd be so fun. But yeah, we gotta start somewhere. So we starting on TikTok, y'all. We starting on TikTok. Now, when it comes to honoring our parents, to be understood from a scientific space, because as you already know, a lot of these spiritual truths are already mirrored within nature. Because God is nature, we are God, and we are nature as well. We are divine fragments of God. People get their, like, panties in a wad. I shouldn't say panties. I feel like that's a little bit foul. They spill milk. They spill their milk, and they're crying about spilt milk, about freaking, oh, we're not God, we're not this, we're not that. Technically, we are fragments of God. Now, does that mean that we are the, like, hierarchy? No. But we are fragments of God. Okay. And everyone in your life, not everyone, but a lot of people in your life, a lot of people within media, a lot of people within social media, a lot of people within many, many avenues of life will try to take your power away. Will try to make you feel less than. Will try to trick you into you are less than. Will try to trick you and say you are not Jesus. You bow to Jesus. Yo, Jesus, my homeboy. You know, don't get it twisted. Jesus, my homeboy out here. like Jesus my homeboy. Jesus literally is my foundation. However, when we worship a human being, we give our power away. When we worship anything outside of our divinity with God, with higher source, our divinity within, because as we know everything starts within, we give our power away. And that's not what we're doing. We don't do that anymore because we understand the truth and we understand the distractions and we understand not everyone understands this truth. And even there's beautiful people in this world too, you guys, especially even within churches, within the Vatican, within this and that, who don't know what they do. Jesus said it when he was on the cross. Forgive them, Lord, for they do not know what they do. A lot of times when we are grown up to be brainwashed, we think that's the truth, and so we teach others that, and they think that's the truth, right? So it's not condemning anyone or saying anyone's less than if they're saying, oh, you need to be this way, you got to be this way. But what it is it's erasing. We want to make sure to erase all the noise, erase all the power trips that people try to pull at, to include ourselves. We are not to control anyone except for us, ourselves. We can live with purpose and leadership, and we can emulate divine light, and then people will want to naturally be more like us because it's extremely attractive. It's extremely magnetic. It's extremely abundant. Being in alignment with the Creator. Okay? But we do not use those things to control others. We do not use those things because it is powerful to have divine light too. And every single one of us has to keep ourselves in check and has to keep everyone else around us in check. The powers come from within to be in control of ourselves, not to be in control of others. Now we can lead and they can follow suit when they see, man, they have something that I really want. What is it? Light of the Creator, which everyone can have as they are intentional with it, because that's what they are. People are just vibrating, oscillating at different frequencies. Some people have more divine light than others. You know why? This is actually part of the Kabbalah as well, and the teachings within Jewish mysticism, where your soul, we are condensed versions of our soul. We are not our full soul. Our soul is not inside of us. We are inside of our soul. Now, what happens with our soul is the divine light that we're asking for to be full, to be a vessel full of divine light, because we are light bodies, is essentially, am I getting off? Like, I'm like on track and speeding at 100 miles per hour, and then like a pebble goes on the track. What I'm trying to say here is, guys, we are divine light. What was I trying to say? Y'all, probably because it's 10 o'clock. No, so we're divine light, we're vessels, we're divine. Either way, essentially, you know, we do harness a lot of power, and that's why people want to siphon it from you. That's why people want to tell you, or indirectly tell you, that you're not powerful from all these different angles within all these different sectors of life. Okay? So it's really important for us to be intentional about keeping our light, expanding our vessel for more light, and protecting our energy as well. Now, so back to science. Biologically, of course, our very existence, as we all know, is a continuation of our parents' genetic code. Now, through DNA and also epigenetics and cellular memory, we actually carry them within us. So it's like when we honor our parents as well, not only are we honoring the divine, we're also honoring ourselves. Okay? Which is a very beautiful thing. Neuroscience also shows our parental influence, of course, shapes our neural pathways again, linking to our spiritual teachings of we choose our parents to have specific lessons. It also creates our specific attachment styles, whether they're the good, the bad, or the ugly, ones that we should keep our full life or ones that we need to perhaps reconsider. Of course, for myself, as you know now, since I am from a family where, my parents split up, I was around 1 or 2, you can guess that I probably had some unhealthy attachment styles that I had to work through, that I chose to work through, because that was what I wanted to do spiritually. Now, also, they shape not only those, but our emotional regulation as well. So when we say honor our parents, we acknowledge the deep imprint that they leave on not only our bodies, but also our minds and our souls. In physics, cause and effect remind us that no action exists without a source, or like our boy Toddle says, a cause. Now, parents are the efficient cause of our being. So, aligning with the commandment, respect for origins. Within ecologically, what is that? Something I made up. Ecology, every branch honors the root system. And this is also tied, the 5th commandment is tied to our root chakra. So, without the root, the tree cannot stand. Now, the spiritual truth, honoring our father and our mother, establishes that order, continuity, and blessing is mirrored in science. Respect for one's origins, whether it's genetic or it's familial or it's ecological, actually stabilizes the system. Remember, the Bible doesn't say love your parents, it says honor your parents, okay? To flourish. So, dishonor the root. If you dishonor the root, whether it be in the tree, or whether it be in our root chakra, or whether it be in the family, or whether it be in the household, we actually weaken the structure altogether. But honoring will align us with not only the divine light, as we know, but also the natural order and laws of the universe. So, spiritual laws and scientific laws, aka what I like to call would be like universal laws, if you're to converge everything together. Okay? So, when we can, of course, release grudges and embrace gratitude for choosing. At first, that was a hard pill for me to swallow. I chose my parents. When we can honor that we choose our parents, we maintain wholeness within our vessel. Oh, this is what I just recalled what I was trying to tell you guys earlier, but there was a pebble on the track. Y'all, I just got it back. Our wholeness in our vessel. Oh yeah, I was talking about how we are actually a condensed version of our soul. Is the lower, because it's lower vibration. Our soul is energetic higher dimensions, guys. When you look at dimensions, you go down into the 2D or even 1D. 1D is a dot on a paper, 2D is the paper or a line on the paper, right? So you can go down the dimensions, but you can't go up. So that right there states accuracy in itself, that we are actually a micro expression inside the soul. Now, what I wanted to tell you guys, and was a pebble track earlier, is the fact that within like the energetics and stuff from Jewish mysticism and all those rabbis and sages and such, what they state is essentially the creator and the divine and hierarchy of the spiritual realm, they can actually help us anchor in more of our soul into reality. Because when you think about it, I think it was David Ghiyam that said this on one of his talks. Essentially, he was saying you would never give a brand new iPhone 17 to a baby or to a child. No screen protector, no, a 2-year-old, let's say. No screen protector, no Apple warranty. Are you going to give a 2-year-old a brand new phone and know that they can take care of it? Right, you're not going to. So the reason is because, they destroy it. Same thing with our souls. Our souls and us, we are so loved and protected that we do not even have energetically our whole souls down here with us on planet Earth. We have partial soul, and we are actually given the ability to anchor more of our soul into the 3D as we prove and show that we're able to handle it. Just like you would probably give maybe a teenager at a certain point the iPhone 17 at a certain point, right? So, yeah. Let me know if you guys are, okay, thank you. Let me get salad. Salad boy, you're about to go, friend. Hopefully, in another lifetime, you'll figure it out. Thank you for letting me know, Ethan. I appreciate you. Egg salad, bye. See you never. Block. Oops. I block you, boy. Bye. Blocked. Bye. Cool, guys. Thank you. So, there should be blocked. I blocked them, so hopefully... Got him. Got him. Bye, Felicia. Bye. So funny. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ethan. Okay, so... yeah, essentially, also what I was trying to state is we are micro expressions of our soul, and therefore we can actually ground more of our soul into our 3D, helping us, of course, that's linked to our divine channel, right? That's where we become even more magnetic, even more, creating a transformational vessel to hold more light also includes anchoring in more of your soul. When you know how to energetically, of course, be able to not ruin your soul, right? There's technically not really bad souls. We're gonna have a class on this, talking about like the other side, what happens in the death experience, crossing over, and all of that good stuff, because I love talking about this stuff. It might be somewhat heavy at first for some of y'all, just based on the biases we've potentially, some of us have grown up in, of death is bad, death this and that. It's actually not bad. And it actually should be celebrated, but we'll talk about that at a later date. And it's not to say that we should be out killing, because, oh yeah, what's another commandment? Y'all shall not murder, which we will get into that on Monday. But let's go ahead and finish. To just button up the whole soul, we can call in and anchor in more of our soul. Once we energetically, if you will, you graduate or you grow in consciousness to be able to do so, to be able to hold more of your soul down here energetically, right? Because again, you wouldn't give your 2 to 5 year old a brand new 17 iPhone and think that they could handle it perfectly, right? So keep that in mind as well. So that's pretty cool. Now, when we release our grudges towards our family members, our parents, biological parents, we are embracing gratitude, and we maintain wholeness in our vessel, which, again, we know that this is what it's all about. So, letting light flow through our origins and strengthening our sense of safety also, as well as belonging. Now, I do recommend this weekend to meditate potentially on the soul corrections that you've had with your biological parents. What were those? Have you really integrated these lessons? And how can you, if you don't feel like you're currently showing up or honoring them, even if they don't reach out first, or, everyone's dynamic is different, right? How can we show up and still honor them, as we know energetically and spiritually this is what is required for us in not only anchoring in more divinity within our own lives and more of our own soul, but also within collective consciousness, raising collective consciousness together. Because more than likely, for example, myself, right? Choosing a broken parental system to come into, to learn from. What can happen is, these two parents of mine, they definitely have cracks in their vessel. And for me, when I can actually enter their lives and honor them no matter what has happened, it can help them in repairing some of their own vessel should they choose, right? Because it's always a choice. Now, me going to honor my parents is rooted first in anchoring spiritually with the divine and those expectations and the natural laws of the universe. And second, it is a ripple effect in their lives when they can feel honored and respected from somebody. Maybe they don't get that from anyone else in their lives, and they probably don't get it from themselves, right? So when someone else can be consistent in showing up for them like that, it can help them in growing and gaining in their consciousness should they choose. Because they see their child leading by example, leading by spiritual truth. You see how that can help us in reforming and reshaping consciousness and elevating collectively on future fronts too. Not just now, but on future fronts as well. What I want to end on is a reflection on the fact that, for one, you guys are freaking ballers because you're here at 10:30 on a Friday learning about honoring your parents. And I would bet money some of y'all don't like your parents. So that's baller. And I appreciate y'all and I see y'all. What I want to say though is, one, I want to leave you with one thought, and I do want to anchor this down into our class here, energetically, digitally, in some future classes. But the thought about, when we think of just this lifetime, which we all know is not true, that reincarnation is real. But if we were to just think of this lifetime, it'd be much easier to not honor our parents. You know why? Because it's like, okay, it's just this lifetime. What I want you to think about is anytime we're discussing, of course, spiritual truths and foundational pieces like this, I want you to also always anchor these into eternity. Because when we show up and we honor our parents in this lifetime, we help. If you were to think of all of humanity as one vessel, and there's a bunch of cracks in the vessel because not all of us are on these paths of divinity. Some of us are caught in lower karmic cycles, caught in the lies of the darker dimensions, the denser dimensions. So when we can think about eternity and we think about honoring our parents in this life, we are also honoring our future lives as well, because we are helping in repairing some of these foundational cracks. Okay? We are helping in elevating consciousness, and when we do that, it's a ripple effect throughout the entire cosmos, because as we know, time is a construct we have created here on Earth to help us with our daily lives, but essentially, everything is converging into one at one time, past, present, future. So, when we can show up for our parents and also honor them, we're helping to repair some of these deep-rooted generational cracks, and it ripples into our future lifetimes. Okay? So that is why, it's not the short game of, oh, it doesn't really matter, they hurt my feelings, I'm, not going to honor them, it's just this one life. No. When we actually honor them in this life, we are also respecting and honoring humanity on its ascension in future lifetimes, which is super cool. So do not ever think that your daily your daily intentional tasks or things that you choose to do when you're saying, okay, I'm going to honor my family, I'm going to honor my parents, I'm going to do this, do not ever think that that doesn't go unnoticed. These are small, tiny ripple effects that have long-term longevity for eternity. Okay, so that's another reason why it's really important for us to actually honor our parents, because it is creating a better future for all of us collectively. It also heals our souls when we do that. We're also connecting more with the divine, repairing our vessels, and that's going to mirror into the future as well. The last thing I want to say, because I think this is extremely important, and I will swan dive into this topic for us, because it's so important, is think about your life, this lifetime, and, how many times you just want to build and create, and you want to do, you want to do, action, right? Well, if we didn't have eternity, why would, as a human being, or we even see maybe in your own life, you're like, I'm not as motivated as maybe I should be. Well, that's okay. Look at someone else's life that has done incredible things. For example, Elon Musk. We can all look at Elon Musk and be like, oh, shysta. He's done some work. He's done a lot of work. Right? So, what I'm trying to say here, guys, is when it comes to eternity, we don't have this natural drive to just build things on such a deep level and then to just die and vanish for eternity and not have anything to show for it or anything to look for it or this or that. Our souls absolutely come back. And there's, as I've already said, there's possibility that our souls also go to other dimensions as well. But the reason why we have this innate drive, even in America in general too, like the American dream, like we have this ridiculous drive to just strive and strive and strive. We never think we do enough. Maybe I'm talking for myself here, but you have this hunger, this tenacity for life. Je ne sais quoi. Well, the thing is, guys, another reason why we have this like ember, the fire starts to burn on the inside, where we want to create, or we can see that others have that fire and they're just like building things at ridiculous speed. Now we have AI that helps us even more build things at ridiculous speeds. Why would we want to build such beautiful things at ridiculously high speeds to just die and be like, okay, whatever. And be like, okay, I'm just going to go to heaven or potentially hell. Who knows? I didn't really honor my mom that one time, so maybe I will go to hell. You hear me? The thing I'm trying to say here is we have this tenacious human creator drive because we already know, and our soul already knows, that we are coming back eventually. And it's extremely important for us to build in this lifetime because it's a foundational piece for when we come back in future lifetimes. We don't just build at a tenacious speed just to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to maybe hell. That's it. No. We have these tenacious hungers because we're also pulling in the future that we're also part of. And we're pulling in the future, I'm talking about our next lifetime, not only the future of this lifetime. You're absolutely pulling in your next lifetime as well. So it's pretty cool on so many fronts that we have all these different aspects and disciplines that we can learn from to help us, look at the world through a different lens, have more compassion for ourselves, have more compassion for our family whom we chose to include our siblings and extended family. So what plane are you from? Shoot. I would like to be like, oh yeah, I'm like on like level 77. Y'all. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah. So I just wanted to leave you guys with that piece. I'll probably close out with a quick prayer for us going into the weekend, and then if there's any questions, now is a good time, or any comments or anything y'all wanna this or that. So we'll save. We're getting through like one commandment a day. That really cracks me up. Every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10, with some variance because time is just a silly construct, y'all. Come on. Pacific Standard in USA. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, you just pop it in the chat right now. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick prayer to close us out. Oh snap! I gotta start like holding up my mic with my other arm because I'm gonna have an imbalance, like a fatty freaking rock solid on this side with like a meow. Meow. Yeah, we're gonna do a prayer. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Divine Source, Divine Intelligence, Superconscious, Subconscious, Collective Conscious, everything that is, everything that was, and everything that will ever be. Thank you so much for all the beautiful souls that were able to enjoy their Friday evening on a path of quantum soul leaping, which is what you want them to do and what you have tasked for them to do, and they're on purpose with. Thank you for having them all here where we can actually learn and grow together, and enjoy this cosmic ride that we have been gifted from you. We pray that we can stay on a quantum path, transmute negative lower energies, live with a high AI type of discernment and focus on making sound decisions from places of certainty rooted in your divine will and our divine purpose that go hand in hand. I pray that everyone has the most amazing, abundant, prosperous weekend ahead, and that you keep them all safe, not only within the physical plane, but also within the spiritual plane. As we know, it states in Ephesians, we are in a spiritual battle. Thank you for everything you do for us, everything you supply for us, for the abundance that's currently anchored here and right now, and the abundance that you have on the way that we do not even know about. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright, y'all. Wow, y'all are awesome. Bless your guys' hearts too. We out here. I appreciate y'all. Amen, amen, amen. Let's go. Thank you guys. Okay, cool. So have a fantastic, amazing weekend. You are divine light. And be a divine light for everyone else in your space as well. And we got our boy with the chakra hearts. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Karen, for being here. I love you so much. Thank you, guys. Many peace, blessings, and love and prosperity, health and wellness, financial abundance, anchoring in all these beautiful things that we are endowed to by our Creator. Appreciate y'all. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye. It's so hard to say goodbye. See you guys Monday. Yes. Goodbye, you guys. Take care.